Terraria 1.4.4 The Labour of Love update is finally here, featuring a plethora of exciting changes and additions to enhance the player's experience. This includes things like the ability to create equipment loadouts, an increase to inventory stack sizes, and my personal favourite, the ability to hang banners on platforms. On top of this, the update also completely reworked a handful of some of the most iconic weapons in the game, which is a huge deal, as the entire Terraria ecosystem may have just changed. Something previously forgotten could become the new meta. So with that, let's take a look at the most significant changes. One of the most sought after balance changes in this update was the function of projectile-based melee weapons. 5 key melee weapons have seen complete reworks in this update: the Excalibur, True Excalibur, Knight's Edge, True Knight's Edge, and the Terror Blade. To start with, the Excalibur now has an area of damaging energy around the blade, dealing damage in a larger, wider AoE, including behind the player. The weapon also saw a damage increase from 66 to 72. The True Excalibur has seen similar changes, now having a huge area of damaging energy around the blade, dealing damage in a dramatically wider AoE. This replaced the usual beam projectile, but can deliver a lot more DPS due to how many enemies it can strike at once. It also got a tasty damage increase from 70 to 72. Next up, the Knight's Edge also saw a complete rework, now similarly having an area of damaging energy around the blade, dealing damage in a wider AoE. Additionally, the swing radius spins around a second time in the direction of the player's aim, increasing the weapon's range significantly. The True Knight's Edge got completely overhauled too, now not only having a large area of damaging energy around the blade, but also a new much larger projectile which travels medium to long distance, striking multiple times. This thing just looks like a beast now, and might be my new favourite. And now onto the one we've been waiting for, the Terror Blade. Now this is an interesting one. The stats themselves have been nerfed quite a bit, now dealing 85 damage instead of 115. However, it now is much larger and fires a massive rapid slash of green energy with every swing. I absolutely love how this looks, and I'll definitely release a more in-depth comparison of this weapon soon. So, with the main swords out of the way, let's look at some of the smaller changes made to other unique weapons. It seems that the whole Knight's Edge crafting tree has received adjustments. The fiery greatsword, now called the Volcano for some reason, now generates a fiery explosion when striking enemies. The Blade of Grass has also been completely reworked, now firing a spiraling razor leaf from the blade with every swing. This projectile does low damage, but ignores a substantial amount of defense. The Muramasa and Light's Bane have been slightly changed too, now generating an additional slashing cut over the affected target. Now moving on to one of my favourite swords in the game, the Horseman's Blade. Now having this epic area of energy around the blade, and has received an absolutely insane buff in one regard, but also a crippling nerf in the other. It now deals 150 damage instead of 75, however, the pumpkins no longer generate from statue-spawned enemies. Rest in peace, my event farm. A more forgotten weapon that's received a rework is the Dark Lance, now generating a shockwave at the end of the spear, increasing its effective range. This also scales with melee speed and inflicts shadow flame on contact. Moving away from melee weapons, we have a complete flamethrower overhaul. The flamethrowers now have this awesome visual and deal a ton more DPS due to ignoring 15 points of defense, piercing further, and inflicting the Hellfire debuff. The Elf Melter saw similar changes, but with this absolutely gorgeous blue flame instead. It's safe to say I'm excited to try these out properly, and will absolutely release a more in-depth review of these flamethrowers now. Last but not least, we have my favourite weapon in the game, the Flare-On, which has received a tasteful buff. Its bubbles now last 33% longer, and the range they can chase a target for has been increased by 30%. This is lovely to see, as a lot of people were put off by this weapon due to the short bubble duration. And with that, this is all the major weapon reworks I've found so far. It's fantastic to see such an improvement to projectile-based melee. Make sure to stay tuned for a bunch more reviews on these weapons, as this may be the biggest balance mix-up Relogic have ever released in an update. Thanks for watching. For more Terraria content like this, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.